The wheel of time turns and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Welcome to Dragonmount. I'm Kathy Campbell.
I'm Rajiv Moté.
And I'm Maureen Carr. Today we are watching episode 5 of season 2 of The Wheel of Time. The episode title is called Damane. This was directed by Maja Viarvillo and written by Rohit Kumar.
Excellent. Wow. Okay, so let's just say this episode is where it gets good. Not that it didn't get good before, but like the plot is turning. The wheel of time is turning out drama.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have just entered the second half of the season, right? Because 8 episodes, I think. So we're on season 5.
Yeah.
And I loved how much lore we got out of this season. We start to understand the motivations of the enemy and what they're pulling together, and we know where it's going to end, which is exciting. So
yeah. They've started laying the groundwork for the finale, which we're pretty like. This episode and previous episodes talks about, the last battle being fought in the skies above Thom, and the dragon will join them. So we know that this is gonna be where it ends. This is how it's gonna happen, which is great because we know where we're going. We know where we're heading. We know everyone is on their way there too. We know that is where. Matt and Min, who are not in this episode, which is fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
All right.
No, hopefully we'll get lots of them next episode. But they're on their way to Karian, right?
Uh-huh.
Not Thom. So that's interesting. But everyone else is on the way to Thom.
They still might wind up there.
Yeah. Who knows what the pattern will weave? And it's weaving a whole heck of a lot.
Where do we start, Kathy? Where should we? There's so many plot threads.
I know, so many, and they interlink so much more significantly in this episode. And also, there isn't a whole lot of like moments of sitting with the stuff, which is interesting. Like it's just go constantly. But let's start with Perrin. When we last left them, Perrin had escaped with Elias and the very good boy Hopper. And Perrin was following. He thought they were going to the caravan to catch up with his friends. But learns that is not true, and had kind of a little hissy fit.
Yeah, well, he wants to rescue his friends, obviously, and Elias and the pack have taken him all the way back to Atuan's mill, where the Shan had attacked already. And I thought it was a really interesting conversation there, because Elias is almost... Well, not almost. There's no almost about it. He is telling Perrin where his loyalties should lie. He said, those human beings are not your pack. I am your pack.
Even your wife wasn't.
Yeah, even your wife wasn't, which is
quite
a thing to say to Perrin. And he knows,
so harsh.
He knows that that Perrin's been dreaming about her every night. So I really wonder, like, what did he hope to achieve by doing this? So he's trying
His people skills are just lacking.
Yeah, he misses beer.
Right.
Yeah.
That was so funny. That was so real. So human of Elias that we hadn't really seen before. He was always just this epic, like, I'm a grumpy old man. I'm the wise man who's going to come and tell you what to do. But I wonder how much of it was manipulation too, because by making Perrin angry, by making him frustrated, it kind of, I wonder if it lowered the defenses a little bit so that he could stalk off so that then Hopper can come in and say, hey, your friend.
Hopper was good cop, Elias was bad cop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because
Oh my gosh,
Hopper
perfect.
is the very good boy.
Yes.
That makes sense. But I loved that scene where Hopper comes up and is, whining, talking, whatever. And you see Perrin's nose like sniff and wrinkle, and his eyes turn yellow, and that's when he sees Uno in the cage. And like, I loved how that, we've talked about it, and I know a lot of people on the internet and have discussed, the visions that the wolves share, and this little bit of acting like pushes that even more into the fact that this is not just the visions like Min sees.
Right.
It's the stories and the verbal ways or the visual ways that the wolves speak.
Yeah, it's communication.
Yeah, and the scent is there, and that smell, which is awesome. And so they head back. Perrin, like, he says so emotionally, like they didn't even bury him, and we've seen how meaningful it is, not just for the humans but for the wolves to be buried too. And so, like that, that's part of why I think like.
And not just
thing.
human, but Shinaran. The last embrace of the mother is the funerary rite for them.
Yeah.
And so, this is an affront to the culture. And Perrin is aware.
Well, even in season 1, when Thom went back and buried the Aielman.
Yep.
Oh,
so we've seen this already. This reverence for the human body after death.
We have.
Yeah. And so it's horrible that they don't bury him. So, Perrin's going to go back and be the do-gooder that he is.
Of course.
And he's going to try and take care of Uno. And he sneaks in and finds a hammer, just hanging out, and starts to attack, but a voice comes out of the dark. That will be loud, Wetlander. Don't want them to hear you.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes! Because this is my girl Avienda is hanging out in the cage and is ready to, be amused by what's going on, and kind of see what's happening. And Perrin gets distracted by a dude in a cloak who recognizes like the work, like the silver work on his ring, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. Two Rivers work, and he doesn't even ask his name. He calls him Two Rivers, which
I know
was kind of I liked that. He established a rapport that way. He wasn't intruding or anything. This is Dane Bornhold. He's a much more handsome lad than I'd envisioned in the books. But
yes, Daddy Dane, as the internet has been calling him.
Okay. So they've latched onto that.
Yeah. Well, when he introduced himself in the Jordan Con video, everyone was just like, "Yes, sir, whatever."
Which is cool, and he's he starts out. He starts out well. He gives Avienda water, a flask of water, leaves her a flask of water, and then starts talking to Perrin, and when buys him a round of drinks, and isn't prying too much. And then when Perrin notices the questioners, the White Cloak questioners coming in, he says, "Okay, I think I'll take that room now," and Dane covers for him.
Well, and I think he noticed, he just saw that it was a white cloak. He didn't recognize that it was a questioner or even what necessarily that means. And then as he was getting up is when he recognized that Dane was a white cloak.
Also a white cloak.
It's like, yeah.
But apparently he's a good white cloak, or at least we think so.
At least sympathetic so far.
Yeah.
And So something that Dane said about the water made me wonder if it was like not poisoned, but has like a sleeping drought in it. Because he said, oh gosh, I can't remember. I didn't write it down, but he said something about like, yeah, I gave her some water. It'll something about like it'll help in the future or something. And then when Valda comes and like throws the water bottles, like, why are you giving water? You know, why? He's like, well, you know, she killed a bunch of people. Why? Like, I was trying to help you, type of a situation. So I think it was gonna be like to get her passed out so that she wouldn't be able to kill people.
Although she drank that down, and well, as we learn later,
she only took a little bit,
but you know,
yeah,
it didn't have much effect.
Yeah, but also she's Aiel, so she's clearly a badass.
Of course.
As we have seen. But there was an interesting, I like the conversation that Dane has, you know, don't worry, Valda, no wolves here. Literally, does he know when Lady the dog, like,
who likes Perrin, of course. No.
Who likes Perrin,
of course, yes.
Because she's a very good girl, and
of
Perrin's
course,
a very
bestest.
good boy, so, you know,
yep.
Yes, the bestest. And then, so, you know, laughing that Lady scared her. But yeah. Valda just comes in and is all, heavy as the suckling child. There will come a day when your father's name will not save you. I mean, he knows that Dane is a Nepo baby and does not want to give any sort of, like, support for that. And I just think it's hilarious.
And we met his father in the first season, right? That was Geoffrey Bornhold, who was actually saying, "Hey, my lady Moraine, what if you're wounded? Why don't you go see an Aes Sedai?" So he was an atypical White Cloak too,
which makes sense as to why his son's a little bit atypical too. Yeah. You know, a little bit nicer, a little bit more chill. Than these questioners who will question anything until it becomes a dead body, regardless. Right. You know, the more questions I ask, the more answers I get. Yeah. Whether or not they're accurate answers or real answers, they don't even care.
Well, and it's interesting that that Valda is putting together some pieces here, that he doesn't really know the real shape of the puzzle, but he's got his own suspicions. So he's obviously his company is fighting the Shan-Shan. They are talking about the invaders. They're talking about clashing with them. And he's saying, is it any wonder that Aiel are here as well? So something is happening. And, you know, to a White Cloak questioner, it's, this is the Dark One stirring. And these are, but, clearly. But, you know, he is noticing that things are happening in the world. There are armies that are on the move. And, something is going on. They're piecing it together, which is, well, good. You know, the White Cloaks are actually on the right side for once, or maybe.
Definitely. Yep. Sure.
Or at least they're against one of the wrong sides.
Right. You know,
I don't know. We got to shelf that. I mean, let's talk about that in the book part.
Yeah. Enough.
But, I mean, to be fair, the innkeeper does say that he prefers the Shan-Shan because they, you know, just make him swear the oaths and then leave. And then clearly the White Cloaks are not great house guests.
Yes. But we've also seen what the Shan-Shan do. You know, if you don't swear the oaths, then, you know, you get the horn through the mouth. And
we'll make you kneel. But
all of your women are tested, and some of them are captured and taken away. So,
but if you aren't a woman and you don't deny, you know, they're clearly not good. But there's something else to be said of them just leaving when they're done. You know, but we can talk a little bit about that in the book series.
Yeah.
In the book part, which, by the way, happens at the end of the show. Or at the end of this episode, we will, of course, have a section. We will blow the spoiler horn and let you know when nothing, like, the book readers will be able to have part of the conversation and we'll be here. So if you haven't read the books, feel free to skip it. Or if you haven't read the books and don't plan on it and you want to know some secrets or be able to throw out some tips to your friends, feel free to listen. You know, we don't judge however you listen to the show. So of course, Perrin manages to sneak out because he can't be there anymore. He's like, nope, I gotta get out, and starts to leave, but then is like, nope, I gotta be the bestest boy I can, and he's gonna turn around and he's gonna save the Aiel. Grabs the hammer again and is sneaky and pulls off the hinges instead of the lock, like a smart genius.
Blacksmith.
Yes, blacksmith does, which I love that.
Yes, good touch.
And then it's all like, can you walk? Like, we can't get very far if I have to carry you, but, you know, he's going to do whatever he can to make sure she gets out.
And she asks him about it. Why are you helping me? One wetlander puts me in a cage, one takes me out. And Perrin says something that I love, and I think is also in the books, but is very much part of his character for me. He says that people shouldn't be in cages. And that is, I think it calls back to his wild side, but it also calls to his, you know, human decency. So that's where those two aspects of his character unite.
Yeah, he's definitely the most decent of our three boys from the Two Rivers.
Yep.
Yes. Yep, for sure. And we need to talk about the music here real quick because I am so excited to get more of the Aiel sounds. Lauren Balfe has just absolutely killed it with the amazing, like, auditory vibes of each, like, culture. They have, you can tell, like, at the beginning of the episode, obviously we'll get there, but at the beginning of the episode, when all you see is water, but you hear the Shanshin music, and you immediately know that this is going to be the Shanshin. So, like, Avienda's music and what the Aiel is going to sound like, I'm just so excited to hear more of it because it's absolutely incredible. It's so neat. Yeah. Just like the costumes are all so unique and easily identifiable, and even the accents are so particular, and I just love that every detail is so unique and just like clearly cared about.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I look forward to seeing what other themes they have for different cultures. Do the Ogier get one? Some?
Who knows? We'll see. We'll find out. So they start to leave, and I love that, you know, Avienda kind of stumbles a little bit.
She's been in a tiny cage. She's cramped up.
Tiny cage.
She's loosening up her muscles, and here come Dane Bornhald's men. And Bornhald is a thinking white cloak.
Yes.
He is actually, there's no false pride here or bluster. He says, this one unarmed Aiel woman. Okay, everybody, the 10 of us, circle. We will attack in unison on my signal, because if you go one at a time, you're going to be killed. He knows. He knows how dangerous this woman is.
And he's seen it too. He's seen what she managed to do while in the cage too. So, like, she knows what's going on, or he knows what she can do, and so it's just going to be like, look, we're gonna take care of this, you know. Which I like that they have him be smart. Again, we'll talk about that later, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Avienda is just so impressive because she just immediately, not scared, not sighing, not tired, just like raises her veil and is just so ready to kick their asses.
Yeah. Perrin Ibarra, do you like to dance?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I loved it. So good.
So
I love
good.
the glint in her eye when she was doing that. There's
right.
a little spark of
Yeah.
mischief. Which
So excited.
I never
Yeah, if anything,
really
happy.
got the mischief out of Book of Yenda, and I love that addition that Ayuda
yes.
is putting in. It's endearing. It's absolutely lovely.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's something really fantastic about Avienda. I mean, clearly I love her. And we'll talk about it a little bit more as we get to the next section, like after they kick everyone's ass. Which I thought, like, this fight scene, and there's something about the way that they film and like choreograph these scenes that it makes it so easy to follow.
Yeah.
Like, you feel the chaos, you feel the movements with the camera and like how it's done, but I always know what's going on, which is really impressive, because a lot of times I'm just like, ugh, another fight. Yeah. Okay, blah, 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 whatever.
Well, it's a dance here. There is this intricate choreography. There's acrobatics going on. You know, we got a taste of how Aiel fight in the last season when we saw Rand's mom go to town on a whole bunch of the allies. Illianers.
Yeah.
But you know, now we see someone who isn't pregnant and almost dead. And without arms, she, you know, pretty effortlessly destroys this White Cloak group. Perrin acquits himself well too.
Yeah,
but, you know,
and manages to save her a little bit, or like take care of somebody. And Avi takes down the last. Takes down Dane and is about ready to stab him with an axe.
It's a beautiful axe too. I hope they hold
on
to
that
axe.
Yeah,
that would be a great weapon to take with you. And Perrin is like, wait, he gave you water, he helped us, and her look in her face, you know, you just see her eyes, and she's just like, "Are you kidding me?" Okay, fine.
Well, yeah, she does listen to him, which is interesting. And you know, we can get into this in the books. It's even culturally interesting, but we know that Perrin has spent some time with the Tinkers. He's gotten a taste of their pacifistic worldview. He admires it to a certain extent, but it's also gotten him into trouble. And it looks like it might be getting him into trouble again. But we'll see.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, he was able to pick up a weapon and try to defend himself and participate in the fight. So at least he's recovered enough, you know, since being in Faldara, that he is able to take it into his own hands if he has to.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's that interesting balance. Well, and, you know, the next scene, we learn why she listened to him, and that's because she has Toe for him. So we learn what this is. It's, you know, the way that the Aiel manage each other, like work with it. They have this level of like honor and respect called Jieto.
Jieto is honor and obligation. And we get a little bit of an info dump, but it's a nice one, and I'm glad they're keeping that you know, firmly into this adaptation. The Aiel have a code of honor that you win honor G by doing you know, exemplary things, and you incur debt or obligation when someone goes above and beyond for you, among other things. And
among other things, I'm sorry, that's hilarious.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of
so
stuff
many
that
things.
can incur too. But in this case, what we're talking about is she. He went out of his way to save her life. He didn't have to do it, but he did it. And that is something that earned him honor and earned her some obligation. And now, even though she's come across the Dragon Wall, she says, to search for, here's another bit of lore, the Kara Karn, the chief of chiefs. They are looking for their king, essentially. And she doesn't speak more about that, but now she's willing to put aside that quest and follow Perrin. And Perrin kind of mistakes what that might mean. And she reassures him, no, I'm not going to attack you in a fit of lust, but, if you... I wouldn't mind either, which is very cute. It's a bit of mischief in this Avienda that I really enjoyed. But yeah, she is an ally now, and she says, "Where do you want to go?" And he's got his mission. He wants to go to Falm to save his friends.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering if Elias is going to accede to that, or if he's going to be someone who is pulling in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I don't know, but the very good boy Perrin got his,
Hopper.
Yes, the very good boy Hopper got a very tasty dinner, and is hanging out with them, and so it would be very easy for them to navigate, and have Elias and the wolves find them for the future, which may or may not happen. We'll find out.
Well, even if Elias led Perrin back to this starting place so that he could sniff out some of these things and follow the path and meet Avienda. I mean, it just seems like Elias was doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what Elias is doing. Because here's where I'm getting a little hung up with him, is that Ishamael, when he met Perrin in the carriage, was kind of taunting Perrin about being lost to the wolves by letting out the beast that's inside of him. And Elias is pulling Perrin away from his human connections and is saying, no, you're a wolf. You belong to this pack. So is Elias kind of doing what
so it's
Ishamael
kind of mirroring
would
the
want
shadow?
him to? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. That's an interesting...
I mean, I don't suspect him as a dark friend, but I don't think he's doing Perrin any favors.
Yeah.
Well, and it would be really, against the books if he was a dark friend. I'm okay, talking about this part where, the wolves will...
Yeah, the wolves aren't
die.
Bad.
Yeah, no, the wolves aren't bad, and they will have an entire pack die taking down a Fade. That they will do whatever they can to get rid of the Shadow Spawn.
Yep.
And so it would be really bad if they... I can't see them taking those steps. If they did, I would be absolutely shocked.
It would be strange.
But you can still be influenced by the shadow without being obviously evil.
Yeah.
Right. And so it makes me wonder too, if it's not necessarily a further manipulation type thing that he's doing, so much as if Elias has been on this journey, he knows what it's like to, be human and then suddenly be a wolf. And that whole comment on, hopefully your eyes will change faster because human eyes are useless.
Yep.
So instead of necessarily I want you to, be, help the dark friends or whatever, it's look, you gotta own up. It's not, these other people aren't your pack. You're not human. They're only going to betray you. You might as well just hang out with us.
Yeah. Which is not a heroic stance to take, and certainly not something that Perrin takes. Perrin's character is so, this is both books and show now. He's the character who tries to find the middle path between extremes, between the pacifist Tuathan and the warlike Aiel, or the savage, or not savage, but the wild wolves and the civilized human being. The hammer and the axe, a tool for making versus a weapon for killing. He's all of his stuff is threading the needle between dichotomies, and so I think this is just another manifestation of that.
Yep. Laying that down. I think it's very interesting, shall we say?
Yeah.
Well, I think we are done with the very good boys and lady, the very good girl. Let's. I'm sorry you snorted. That was great.
Sorry.
I gotta say, I couldn't get behind the very good boy hashtag or bestest boy hashtag because I was thinking, like, these are wolves. These are not cute little things. But Hopper is a cute little thing. That's the problem.
Such a cute thing.
He whines, he whimpers. He's just so
and
all right.
Pretty.
I love.
Whatever. I give up.
The dog that plays him is a very good girl.
Oh, it's a girl. Okay.
Yes. Her name is Ka Lupinka. Is the very good girl who plays Hopper.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yes, they're the very bestest babies. We love them all. They are doing such a good job. And speaking of babies that are doing a very good job, our favorite novices and accepted are passed out.
Quite a segue.
You know what? I'm trying really hard.
It worked for me.
Yeah. Okay, good. Excellent. So we see Nynaeve kind of wakes up a little bit in the ways.
Which still looks like a set.
Yeah, which is fine. You know what? They went with they went with the established canon.
Yeah, consistency.
Yep, as we all know, or maybe you don't, and this is the first time you're hearing it, but we'll pass on the information that we can. The ways were originally supposed to be somewhere else, and then COVID came, and they had to shut it down. So they had to hurry and somehow manage to put together the ways. That's why they don't look quite as intimidating as they might wish, as you might wish that they were. But you know what? That's fine. I can accept and acknowledge that COVID really screwed us over in a variety of places and ways, and including the ways. But we don't stay there for very long.
It's quick.
Thankfully.
It's basically a conveyance. It's not a plot point right now. So that's fine.
Exactly. They're just making the point of how they're getting, as far as they are, basically. And Leandrin, I find it interesting that Leandrin put Elaine and Egwene so far away from Nynaeve. And I feel like she woke Nynaeve up. Yeah. She said, you're shielded and bound. I'd warn you not to try anything, but because of course Nynaeve's going to try and get out. And she proceeds to have this moment, this fairly emotional moment, I think, with Nynaeve. Now, Maureen, I know that you are adamant that Leandrin is manipulating everything and is like purposefully doing all of this, including having a son to future manipulate. Yep. Which I
called it.
You know
Plays
what?
the long game.
Yeah, go for it. I think that's absolute bananas, but I love that you're going all in.
No, I mean, I think, and Maureen, I'd love to hear your counter arguments, but I think this episode really establishes that there is a genuine and special relationship between Leandrin and Nynaeve, and if anything will pull at Leandrin's loyalties or just give her some inner turmoil, it's Nynaeve. She believes in her.
She sees a little bit of herself in Nynaeve, I think, which is interesting. It's not what I was expecting when we first meet and from the books and that sort of thing. I think I love how they have developed this character.
Yeah, she's definitely a lot more three-dimensional.
Yes, exactly. Not just a grr, boys bad
Yeah.
type of a thing, which is nice. Um, I like the conversation that they have. Nynaeve is like, you weren't recruiting me to join the Reds. You were recruiting me for him. And Leandrin goes, every woman has her price, a burden she can no longer carry, a hope for a future impossible in this world. And like, just that, I felt that weight on my chest when she says that. It makes her so much more interesting. Yeah. And I love this idea that she turned to the Black to save her son. But of course, Nynaeve calls her out. You're sitting in the dark trying to justify yourself to a woman you just kidnapped. Was your price worth it?
And her face, she doesn't say anything in response, but her face speaks to that conflict, I think. She's not happy with what she's doing, and we get, further down into this plot thread, we see another case where she's not doing this because she wants to or because she believes in it. She is doing it transactionally for something she wants from the dark. And whether it's just
it's not
about
personal.
her son or it's more, we don't know yet. But
yeah, well, and it feels like she's doing what's it called? Something compliance, where you like do the like what you're legally supposed to at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Man, this is going to drive me absolute bananas. I can't think of what it's called. Because so they come out of the ways. Sarath in her...
She follows the letter of the law. Yeah.
Yes. Sarath is on her palindrome. We'll talk a little bit about what kind of happened to her in a little bit. But the idea that she was late delivering, the people that she was supposed to deliver, which is just like horrifying to think about. This idea that you are delivering people, but that's fine.
Into slavery. Yeah. This is human trafficking.
Yeah, and a fate that could easily be hers as well.
Very easily. And
very easily.
Leandrin, barks out her objections to what they are. She and Surath fight a little bit about, just verbally spar about who's going to come on top. They both serve as Shamael, and they both are aware that they serve as Shamael. And they're saying, well, we don't know what the New World Order is, but, Surath is willing to collar Leandrin if the New World Order shifts that way, and Leandrin is going to remind her of her words if she comes out on top and has her under her heel. And then that wonderful scene that makes me think that she really does have loyalty to Nynaeve. On her way back through the Waygate, she flicks a weave and burns Nynaeve's bindings.
Yes. And wakes them up too. I think there's a little bit of all of that together so that they're awake, so that they can, go after whatever is going to happen to them instead of having them be, taken away. And they wake up. Elaine does some magic, some awesome manipulation of the power while hands are tied.
Yeah, so Nynaeve is supposed to be the one who's channeling, but she can't. She's blocked still. Even now, she's not angry enough to channel. And Elaine just closes her eyes, and without having to use her hands, this was something Egwene was trying to do. She channels them free and starts the defenses, which is pretty awesome.
And then Egwene comes in too, which I thought was neat. That I don't know if she saw what Elaine did, or manage to just like figure it out on her own or what. But
well, and you have to assume that they've been practicing over their beer or whatever it is that Elaine
right.
They've been trading
I don't know
lessons,
though if they would have practiced
with
this,
alcohol.
Though. Well, especially with alcohol.
While intoxicated.
But like this, while intoxicated, like coming in and doing like battle
sure.
weaves.
Yeah.
Like that seems pretty out of sync of what I think that they would do.
Novices are learning how to clean water.
Yeah. But yeah, they're running away as best they can, and they escape, but then they figure out that Egwene was captured and got left behind, and the emotions of you could just sense that nobody's happy.
Yeah. Okay, so let me compose my thoughts real quick. So
okay.
Even this right here shows that Liandrin can't possibly know anything about Nynaeve. Like, if she thinks, I'm going to throw her a bone and I'm going to loosen her bonds and wake her up and give her this fighting chance, and she's going to see that I'm really an ally. Like, Nynaeve's loyalty to Egwene, the fact that Egwene, I mean, even if she broke a fingernail and Liandrin was responsible, Nynaeve would, like, chase her down and kill her. And now the fact that Egwene has been collared, and we don't even know exactly what that means yet, and it's Liandrin's fault. Like, Liandrin's going to die as soon as Nynaeve gets her. Like, there's no chance for them to do anything.
I don't think it was I want Nynaeve to be my friend. I think it was, I have to give these girls because of my oaths and because of what I've told to the Dark and because what I have to do for Ishamael, I need to deliver these people to Surath. However, I know that they're not going to go lightly. And so I'm going to give them the best chance that I can to successfully escape. And in order to do that, I will let Nynaeve go because I know that, or I hope that she could do it.
I think it might even be just purely emotional. Like, I want Nynaeve not to be captured. That's what I want for Nynaeve. And
I'm trying. I really am.
Also, it's a way to get one over on Surath because
that I can see.
Definitely.
Here, I've wrapped these up for you. This present for you. Why can't you deliver it to our master? Like, why do you suck? Why did you fail? And so it's a way to kind of get her in trouble.
Yeah, there was definitely that. I do think that, she freed Nynaeve and only Nynaeve for a reason. That was personal. I think that was both to stick it to Surath and because she's got some feeling of compassion somewhere buried under that dark heart.
Yeah. Well, because we see it too a little bit in like when Liandrin gets back to the tower.
Yeah.
The emotions that she feels when she's talking on her face when she's talking to Varen.
Yep.
All fake.
But we'll get there. We will get there. But not yet, because we're going to hang out in Falm still. Because Egwene gets captured and presented to oh my gosh, where did it
go?
High Lord Turok.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to segue from there, or do you want to start from basically the opening scene?
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's do that. yeah, as you can tell, sorry, we're kind of all over the place because this episode is all over the place and we're trying to keep it organized, but obviously we're not doing a great job, but we're doing our best. So
Yeah.
Well, the plot is starting to interweave a lot more, which is great. And
yes.
yeah, so the show actually opens with the Shan, and Surath, High Lady Surath, is being brought before High Lord Turok, and they are. It seems that Turok outranks Surath a little bit. Is that your
Yes.
A
impression?
lot.
A lot. Well,
Okay.
because obviously, yeah, the first off, the fact that Surath is invited, presented, and Turok's voice tells Surath that, you have to speak for yourself.
Yep.
And you have to, tell us what the heck happened because you were not given this permission.
Right, and that's why I was wondering whether they were closer to equals, because one of the Shan things that is explained in the books and is you can glean from what's happening in the action on the show is that when you're of the high blood, you don't deign to speak directly with people. You let your voice, that the woman standing next to you or the man standing next to you, do your speaking, and you just swipe your nails all over the place to issue commands. And so, Surath starts to do that with Turok. But Turok's voice then tells her, no, you're going to speak for yourself. You're gonna
and this
address
is a
me
whole, we kind of talked about it, I'm pretty sure last episode, but the whole, all of the costume pieces and everything are meant to show who has the power, and the power is in your voice. So the high blood don't have the ability to speak however they want, but they don't have to because they have a voice that does the speaking for them. We know that the Damane have those pacifiers. That means they don't get the ability. They don't even have the option to attempt to speak. Yeah. They don't have that option at all. And the other thing is the nails, the 2 nails that the high blood get on each hand. They grow long. This shows, they only do what they have to, just enough to, open a box, shall we say, and tell the story that they need to tell. Except when you get in trouble, it's easy to get those nails chopped off. And Surath clearly did bad things and disobeyed Turok because she must kneel, and she is now barred from court until you are once more presentable, which I thought was so intense to have that. And that's because they need their nails grown. So she has to wait until her nails are grown more in order to come back to court, which is a heck of a punishment.
Well, and what was so interesting about that interaction too is that at first Surath is downright insolent to Turok. Yeah. And when she's told to kneel, she looks toward Ishamael, who kind of nods his head and says, and mouths, kneel. And then she obeys. So she clearly thinks that her status with him outweighs.
Yes.
What's there?
Yeah, her status with the dark is going to connect, especially since we learn later that he's the reason that they attacked that village. Yeah. And so, she's furious at him that she's paying the price that Ishii has provided. But before we get there, we didn't even talk about the brand new slaves that were provided as well. We now know why Loyal is hanging out with the Shanshan.
That's right.
Because Ingtar, Ingtar and Loyal get their fancy new clothes. I didn't even recognize Ingtar until the end. Like until my second watch, because he looked so pretty. Like the makeup and hair really works for him. I thought it was fantastic.
So they are Dakoval, yeah, because he says an Ogier slave, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they are property now.
Yep. Which even though they have the overcoats on, they still are wearing the white shifts that you see the rest of the Dakoval.
Ooh, I didn't notice that.
And they have the Ingtar at least has the chains, the face chains that are like less structural than the voices chains, but there is that level of you are owned, you are property by having the face like chains laying on. And we see some more Dakoval at the end, the guy that wakes up, Ishmael at the end.
Right. Right.
So like this, they're once again, all of these pieces are developing characters in ways that you may not even know, in pieces that you may not understand until you see it, until you recognize it. And just like every detail is clearly, absolutely, purposeful.
Yeah. And then I don't. Okay.
Yeah. Our favorite, dark friend, betrayer of any sort of hope, gets to come waltzing in because Ishii has a present. And Fane has his little whistle, and
that was nice.
Brings a box, and Turak knows what's in the box,
yes.
Which is really funny. Like not funny, but like amusing that he knows that this box means that it's the Horn of Valir.
The Horn of Valir, and Ishmael mentions that Turak is a collector of ancient artifacts, and then he brings the gift, and Turak recognizes it for what it is and says, with this, the whole world will be ours. Yes. I liked the use of the word ours. He is not someone who is acting out of personal ambition. He is he is a loyal subject of the Empress. May she live forever.
Which they did not add.
I know.
How many times did you say it in your head afterwards to make up for it?
Yeah.
Always.
As many as I said, be steadfast.
Yes, exactly, that too. But one interesting thing is that Turak also said it's going to help us overcome the shadow or something like that. So it's not even he wants the horn for Shan-Chan.
Right.
Only Shan-Chan's glory, but
we learned that the whole reason they came is that they've read the omens, and they feel that they need to unite the world and fight the shadow. Yeah. So the last battle is coming, and the reason they're doing this is they're going to fight the shadow. So we've seen the brutal side of the Shan-Chan. We've seen the enslaving side of the Shan-Chan. We've seen a lot of reprehensible behavior. They are not the army of the dark, at least not wittingly.
Right.
At least in their mind.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
Anyways,
right.
Because of course we know that Surath
is a dark friend.
Yeah. Because she's working with Ishii, and that moment where they come back to Surath's rooms, she no longer has her beautiful headpiece, which I do want to say too. I was able to speak to Sharon, the costume designer. Sharon, she was speaking about the Shan-Chan and their costumes and things. And originally the Shan-Chan soldiers, their headpieces with the gold work at the top were meant to be feathers. But it was too much like cultural appropriation. So they decided let's do it all the metalwork instead, which I think was a great, like absolute terrifying choice.
Yeah.
And the little horns that Sarath's hat had originally was going to be hair.
Oh.
And it just wasn't working out. So they're like, let's put feathers on it. So they have those gorgeous black feathers that are also on Turak's costume, which are kind of like this piece of, this is the high blood, this is what of it. But didn't know the connection with the ravens that the Shanshin have. It was total accident. Again, we'll probably talk a little bit in the book section, but total, kismet came for that incredible piece of, costuming magic, which I just had to share.
That's so cool.
Awesome.
And now she's naked practically, now that she doesn't have her little face thing. What did you think of her hair?
Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Yeah. It's a look.
It's book accurate. We'll say that.
It is.
Yeah, that stunning hairdo with the tattoos, or not the tattoos, but like the markings that they have, plus her American accent is just so, like, my brain does not know how to process it. Not necessarily in a bad way. It's just so unique. It's so like, this is where we're going. Okay. Yeah. So like, I kind of like it that my brain doesn't know how to process it, but it's definitely strange.
Well, I know that my brain had a tough time not processing American accents in a fantasy show. It's like, shouldn't everybody by default have an English accent, if not something even more
some
different?
Variety of British?
No. This is we got the American accents here.
Yeah,
and I'm happily absorbing that and recalibrating my mind to that. Because why not? Why the hell?
Right?
Oh, and I just really like Sarath's voice, like just that. Yeah, like Thor Ragnarok.
So
you're going to meet the Grand Master now, like that kind of vibe, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes, I adored that.
So what'd you think of the interaction between Surath and Ishamael in private? Because she
was not as scared as she should have been.
I know.
Yeah.
Because she even dressed him. You may be the chosen, but you're not of the blood. I was like, whoa.
Right?
So you were just mouthing off to Turak just now and looking for Ishamael's approval. And now in private, you're saying, you're not that big. I thought that was fascinating.
So fascinating. And it makes me wonder. So I know she used the word chosen, but do we know for sure that it was chosen as in the Forsaken type of a chosen? Or like chosen as in picked? You were picked to be this contact. Because she, like, he doesn't say, dude, I'm a Forsaken bitch. He comes and is like, I know why you swore your oaths.
Yeah.
Like,
and then she's all, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's...
Well, that is interesting. I just assumed that, for simplicity's sake, she knows what's happening. She knows why it's happening. And that this is the big guy, but maybe not. Maybe she thinks he's just a Dark Friend agent. But I almost feel like we would have some indication of that if that were the case, because Leandrin clearly knows who Ishamael is, or at least I think she does.
We don't necessarily know. Like, he's their boss. He is their, connection, but we have not necessarily seen the proof that they know that he is an actual Forsaken.
Yeah. I mean, because wouldn't Leandrin be kind of wigging out if she was around a man who could channel?
Yeah, but maybe. But she's also...
we haven't seen her interact with him, though.
Oh, I thought they did. I thought he told her... Oh, no, that was Min.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay, never mind.
And
yeah.
Min was...
I misremembered.
And Min is proxied, via Leandrin. Yeah. So, I don't know. I just... The Forsaken here seem to not work through intermediaries or agents. They get their hands really dirty. And Leandrin is the busiest woman in this show with the amount of plots she's juggling. So, they're not, these aren't leaders who just sit up and give commands. They're doing the work. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah, but they do have the intermediary. Wow, I cannot say that word. They do have their people chosen because Ishii has Leandrin and has Surath and has these people. So yes, they are getting their hands dirty, but they very much also have these people that are doing the fingers of their plot points, except not Lanfear. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, Lanfear's not going to accept any intermediaries with what she's doing.
No, not at all. Not at all. Okay,
but, so just one more thing. Before we wrap that up, it's just we see the Shan-Chan now wanting to fight the Shadow. We've seen the White Cloaks wanting to fight the Shadow. We see the Aes Sedai wanting to fight the Shadow, but they're all fighting each other instead. And it's just really funny to see that. Why can't we settle things? Why? I don't know. It's just human nature. Just this great big evil is coming, and we're still going to squabble.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and partially too, you're looking at they don't know how to truly fight the Shadow. Because you're looking at it, you have, the White Cloaks think that anyone that channels is, a dark friend. And the questioners are going to question whoever they want to. You have the Aes Sedai who think there's no possible way that they could have, dark friends in the tower. Again, we'll talk about that in the future. Nobody knows who really is a dark friend and who is just hanging out because they don't know what to do. Like, there's so many different pieces and information that people know that others don't know, that it makes it all, manipulation like heck, because the dark, this is how the dark wins.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's just so muddy. Yeah, they can't tell what's what because of it.
Well,
yep.
Yeah, societies are fractured and cultures clash, and it's hard to cooperate.
Yes.
Even if you think you know the overarching goal, nobody quite knows how to accept someone else's leadership in it.
Right.
Or even who to trust. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or wants to, because, of course, they all want to try and be in charge. They want whatever they believe has been given to them. That whole part about, what Min agreed to do for Leandrin had boundaries, and yet they don't care. The Dark doesn't care. The Dark is going to do whatever they can, kind of... the idea of you got to be careful with what you ask a genie for, because they're not going to take it, So just all of these things in place that could manipulate and adjust.
Yeah.
You got to be careful.
You got to be careful. And it's interesting. Surath wants to kill Turok, but Ashamel won't let her. And he is saying that would cause a civil war. So right now, he's not letting the Lord of Chaos reign. He is... he wants...
That's a future book. Come on.
Is that a book? I forgot.
Yeah.
I was speaking metaphorically, but he wants a unified Shanshan right now, and Surath even says, "You need my armies. These are my armies." So she's thinking that Shanshan as a military force is going to be the army that the Dark One uses to fight the forces of the light and the dragon and the tower and all that. But Ishamael's keeping them together right now, and he doesn't want a civil war. And he also talks about, the last battle is coming. He's the one who tells her about fighting the last battle in the skies above Thom, and that's where the Dragon Reborn will join him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, that's got to be his reason for why he does not want civil war, because if there's a civil war, and if, the Shanshan are fighting against each other, there's no reason for the dragon or anything else to come to Thom, because they would have, gotten their asses kicked.
Mm-hmm.
So, he wants everyone there doing what they need to do so that he can get what he needs to have them
and we will
succeed.
get to what exactly he needs a little later in this episode. But before we leave the Shanshan, Ishamael is asked to have an audience with Turok, and that was a really interesting interaction, because Ishamael is not too proud to bow here. And,
right? I was
very
shocked.
humble.
Yeah. He is not the raving, egomaniacal Forsaken of the books. He is a planner, and he's trying to move things. This is what I was saying about proxies. Usually the Forsaken would not deign to do something like this directly. They would work through an agent or something like that. But no, he's talking to Turok, and Turok's impressed with him. He does mention that, hey, you just kind of suddenly appeared in Surath's court, and you saw the omens that said we should launch this big thing. And he says, "Oh no, not me. I do not have the eyes to understand those omens. That's the Empress who did that."
And the Court of the Nine Moons.
The Court of the Nine Moons. And so, he is willing to act humbly, and Turok seems satisfied with that and says, "You know what? I'm going to grant you a boon. What do you want?"
Yeah.
And all he asks for is, he's trying to heal the rift between Surath and Turok at this point.
Yep.
He's trying to say, you know what? Surath's going to come with a gift. Please accept it with an open mind and an open heart.
Yeah. Which,
in good faith. Yeah.
The manipulation here, but also, can we talk about the fact, okay, so Alwyn is there, and Loyal and Ingtar are there in the exact same positions. Have they been standing there all day? Or was this meant to be originally right after Surath gets her nails cut off, and then they just darkened it to make it like night?
I think they've been standing there for a long time. Because that's what it means to be Dakoval.
Right?
Which in the old tongue means owned, but
Yeah. No, I think they realized after they filmed this setup that they needed to have more information, and so that's why they put in the bit with Surath and Alwyn and Ishi in the room beforehand, getting that conversation instead of having it. Because Turok clearly wasn't sitting there the whole time, and he would have put the horn somewhere in the intermediate day. Yeah, that's my theory.
Fair enough.
But of course, it was all planned and purposeful, and definitely. So yeah, we saw Leandrin, drops off the girls to Surath, who no longer has her voice or her helmet, hat, face mask. I don't know what to call it. Her fancy
her veil, because I guess from the books, the high blood can be behind the veil.
Yeah. Whatever the face covering is. But she has Egwene. Elaine and Nynaeve, however, are trying to. Okay, so Nynaeve is adamant about saving Egwene, and Elaine uses her daughter Heir talents and planning to be like, hold on now.
Basically common sense.
Calm down. Yeah. Calm the F down, because obviously this is not good. I'm sure she's the one that found the carpets, the beautiful wrappings to wrap around the two of them so they're not wearing the white dresses. And Elaine's just like, dude, stop drawing any attention. They're going to be looking for us. And Elaine wants to talk about the Shanchin and how they're clearly not local to Thom. They're foreigners.
Yep.
And Nynaeve's like, I don't care. And Elaine's like, let's we got to change our clothes. And Nynaeve's like, what?
These not fancy
they're
enough
misunderstanding.
for you? Yeah.
They're misunderstanding each other deeply in a way that's...
Nynaeve is a hothead and Elaine is a planner.
Yep.
And neither of them prevails because they get knocked out by a big guy.
Right?
Who happens to be a warder of a yellow Aja Aes Sedai named Rima. And Rima is deep in enemy territory, so she must be laying low, hiding undercover. But she warns them that, hey, your likenesses are being circulated. They're looking for you. You have to hide.
Yep.
And then,
but Egwene isn't hiding.
No, Egwene is at least there's one present for Surath to deliver to Turok, and that is Egwene.
Yes.
And all of the times Egwene has heard, oh, Nynaeve is the strongest channeler we've had in 1,000 years. Well, now she gets to hear that about herself.
Aww.
This is the strongest Damane we've had in a long time. And they put the magical collar on her and the leash, and she knows she's in trouble.
Yeah, I love what they have done. So obviously there were many complaints about the fact that the Damane were not leashed in the fighting and yada yada yada. Well, we see that she has an actual leash now, but you also saw the leash of the one power that connected
Yes.
with the collar, and I think that's so intriguing. And because the collar is not is that chest plate thing too, but that comes in together, I think, because there were people complaining about how are they supposed to bathe or change their clothes with this chest piece on, but it looks like there's a way to manipulate it so you can have that disappear, so you can change clothes, put whatever without having to take the collar off, but still having almost like a dog harness. To have a little bit of support different, so they can hook it in the back instead of having it on the actual throat.
Yeah, exactly.
Have it on the chest or in your back, which I think is really smart. So less of a true like in my eyes, it's a little less kink shaming and a little bit more like scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah, this isn't
switching the
bondage.
shoulders.
This is this is people training their doggies.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, but you know, no complaints now, y'all. You see the chain.
Yeah.
And you see why the Damane that go out to search don't need to be chained, because they are chained by the one power, but they don't need a leash because they behave.
They're trained.
Like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're
that makes
off
sense.
leash.
Yeah. Canine good citizens.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
So,
it looks like Egwene is in pain, though, once they put the collar on her. She, like, starts convulsing.
Yeah, which I think is kind of the way to try and get control and to let them know, hey, you can't do things.
Yep.
We're in charge here.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to be learning a lot more about how that device works next episode.
Yep. Yes, indeedy. All right, so that I think is Falm, right?
Yep.
We're good in Falm.
We're good in Falm.
Shall we head to Tarvalon?
I think we should.
Along with Leandrin.
Oh my god.
Well, she's coming back there, but it starts
And
off
so
with a
suspicious.
with a
Like,
with
she's
a,
so crazy suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
Drives me insane.
But our first returning Aes Sedai is none other than Viren Mathwin, played by Mira Sayal. I have to say, this is maybe my favorite new character. Even though Avienda was fabulous, and we had a lot of cool things. I loved Lanfear, but Viren and her knowing smile as she asks these kind of Columbo-like questions. Just 1 minute.
Yes.
I noticed that you said that they went off over here with a guard, but she does that little, I'm just asking questions, but she is, and when the moment the people she's talking to turn their backs, she's got this little smile that says, I'm adding up everything, and I know more about you than you think I know. And she did that with Moraine, too. Yeah. She figured out what Moraine was about, and Moraine almost knifed her for it.
Right. Well, and I love the true, well, it seems like the true friendship and joy that Jessica and Naomi had to see her come in. Yeah. Not just because she has Adelaide's brew, but
they were a little too enthusiastic about knocking that back.
Listen,
don't these women get to drink?
No, they don't leave the house very often. I'm sure you can't deliver alcohol. You can't deliver alcohol. It's probably like a U.S. thing.
Yeah. No reciprocal agreements for delivery. I get it.
Yep. Exactly. How are you going to be able to tell that your person is old enough? Make sure the legal age to drink. Yeah. So Vera needs to bring it. Although that was a really small bottle, and the sound made it like, I'm the type of person that I hate when all the coffee cups are empty, because they're always freaking empty in shows. Like, at least fill it with water because you can tell like how heavy or light a glass is. Like, even the best actors can't act that. But the way that the sound sloshing around makes me wonder if Varen had a little bit of a drink on the way to empty that bottle a little bit.
That's true.
Yeah. But the way that Varen, not manipulates necessarily, but navigates the conversation to be like, oh, well, I can't leave until I get all the gossip. Hey, what's going on, sisters? Let's talk about this.
Makes it a point to ask about the powerful new novices. And I think in that conversation with Jessica and Naomi, Galad's name is dropped as well. Is that right?
I heard Gawain. I heard Gawain.
Yeah, Gawain
Oh,
is,
was it
but
Gawain?
not in.
Okay.
Yeah, in the conversation with Sheriam.
Okay. I thought it happened earlier as well. I wrote it down, but that's okay. We'll talk about that in the books.
Yeah, well, yeah. But so we now learn why Varen was asking the questions that she was asking, because you see Sheriam in the study, a novice is cleaning. I love how Varen is like, oh, it's heartening to see the dust on that switch.
Yeah.
And we learned that past mistresses of novices did switch on the butt.
Yep.
And Sheriam now does the shoulders, which, great. Love that. Better.
Little nod to the old spanking traditions of the White Tower.
Yep. But navigating into a higher, like a less kink shame, more like punishment conversation, which I love. And Varen's just like, hey, where's my girls? I heard about them. And Sharon's like, they shouldn't be gone. Like, and Varen's like, hey, let's look at the book. Like, Varen knows something's up. Because the girls aren't here. Obviously, the mistress of novices should be in charge of the novices. And the way that she weaves these questions in doesn't make Sheriam nervous.
Yeah.
Doesn't alert her that she thinks that something's wrong, which I think is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Although she does say, it's weird that I would forget that. And it, on my second watching of that, it felt like knowing what we learn shortly afterwards, at first I thought that Sheriam was being caught in a lie. Which has its implications about who's Black Aja or not. But it seemed like maybe Sheriam was confused about why she didn't remember certain things.
Yeah, and that she as she speaks, she kind of remembers more. So she's like, a visit to Elaine's home in Camelin.
Yeah.
I don't know how it slipped my mind, but obviously they're accompanied by a force of soldiers from Camelin. So I'm sure they're fine.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
And so then Varen pivots to, oh, hey, I was looking for this book. And Sheriam, oh, yeah, I have that book. Let's go get it from my room. Do. And then here comes Jessica.
Yep.
Looking in the book, finding the notes, finding the things. And we learn that Jessica has an eidetic memory.
Very useful.
And apparently is able to transfer that same memory, which I think is really interesting. That she can draw what she saw.
I wasn't sure if that's what she did or she actually stole some documents too.
Because I don't think, because it was just a little slip of paper. It wasn't the full sheet. So I think she actually wrote it how it looked. But this is where which is Gawain is dropped. Yeah, it's very impressive. But this is where Elaine's brother is mentioned. Gawain's name day celebration ceremony thing. That's why they're going. And they're looking carefully. And this is why Jessica's face kind of went, huh. The little bit of a tremor. It's like, oh, is this what it would look like if someone was mimicking handwriting? And Varen's like, no, because Sheriam remembered writing it. And then something clicks.
Yeah.
And is like, oh, well, maybe this is, not what we expect. This has got to be somebody using compulsion.
Yeah.
Which, of course, means that
the Black Aja exists. Yes, this is a forbidden weave. This is something that Aes Sedai are not allowed to use at all. And we can probably do some book conversations about the Weave of Compulsion. But At any
We're not
rate,
going to do that here.
this is something that has set some events in motion. Viren has alerted her two little brown Aja minions that there are possibly traitors in the tower, and that should probably be dealt with in some way.
Yeah. Also, I want to shout out Naomi being a dwarf, and like it's not even mentioned. It's just like talk about the diversity of casting. Yep.
Yeah.
It's just the existence, and I love that.
Yeah, that was
just,
cool.
Like it reminds me a lot of Barbie, the Barbie casting.
Yeah.
I know, just dropping this in here, but the fact that you had, there were people that were missing limbs. We had, all sorts of variety and options, which I think is just so great. It's just like, hey, this is just what happens. This isn't meaningful to your character at all. This is just how it is.
Yep. This is the landscape of humanity.
That's pretty great.
That's part of the White
Yes,
Tower.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is something you can do really effectively in a show. Whereas,
yes.
If you devote time to describe it, it becomes a plot element in a book. But here it's...
Yeah. Well, later on, speaking of Black Aja, but possibly, Varen and Leandrin meet up. And I laughed so hard when you see Leandrin kind of lean against that pole with her back, like, oh, I'm so casual.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
So funny. And Leandrin just happened to have white asparagus that can only be found at this place that she went off to find this male channeler. And I thought that was like, of course she's gonna figure out what's going on. Varen's asking about the novices. Oh no, they're not here. And then Leandrin gets that, well, I heard a story about a royal envoy that was attacked south of here. We must talk to the keeper. And Varen's just like, yeah, okay. Sure, whatever you're thinking. Was not very believable, but that's fine.
No, this is funny. I'm going to bring this up, but as a teacher, I deal with children every single day, and this is exactly what they do. They connive and they talk and they think they're being clever, and the teachers are like, "Oh my God, we see right through you. You're so suspicious right now." And it's just funny that that's what this was. Like Leandrin's just like the tiny little pupil, and I'm going to try to trick my teacher Varen, and Varen's like, "Yeah, I can see it."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I love it. So yeah, that's the tower, right? That's
that is the White Tower.
Yeah. Well, which is, it's a little sad. We are having less White Tower because everyone's going to Falm. But that's okay. We'll get back there, I'm sure.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think it might be a different tower when we do get back there, but that'll be for the book discussion.
Yeah, but that's tight.
I think there is something. Leandrin's hand is tipped now. Nynaeve has basically accused her of being Black Aja, and even if she weren't, the crime that she just committed is unforgivable. So Leandrin needs those three girls to be gone from the tower.
Yes,
for sure.
Yep. Yeah. And here's a way for them to be gone and no one to be able to find them because someone attacked their envoy and oh no, they're dead. Mm-hmm. And so are these, Camelin soldiers that don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame
all right.
if someone escaped.
Speaking of escaping,
ran down the run. All right.
I love that they started out with Rand and Moraine just running down hills, just trying to escape. And Rand's like, "What did you do?" And Moraine's like, "Dude, that wound will barely slow her down." And then we get to see it barely slowing down.
Yeah.
This scene pulls so much from the horror aspects that Sanaa is obsessed with and so happy to be like sharing. The noises, the healing, you see these black spots that are filling passing through her eyes, and the black like weaves, was that like
so that was
taint coming?
Well, it was really reminiscent of the kind of corruption that Matt had with the dagger that was like flowing out of his eyes and out of his mouth and stuff like that. And when Moiraine separated him from the dagger, that black ooze kind of was brought with it. And here it was Lanfear using that black ooze power to heal herself. And the dots going across her eyes.
And I love that she managed to heal herself and pull the blood back into herself too.
Yep. She's all clean.
There was no blood anywhere. It was all clean. Like that's pretty magic.
Hey, she's not going to leave things halfway that way. So
no, for sure. And I love that Rand, they're running, and Rand's keeps asking questions, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And Moraine's just like, dude, if we survive tonight, I'll explain everything.
Now is not the time.
I love that she's just like, hush, which as a parent, I have had that conversation many times. Not necessarily if you survive, but we'll talk when we get home type of a conversation. Like, just stop asking me questions now.
Yep. And I loved Lanfear's kind of strut into the storm as if she was causing the storm. And, she had a lot of swagger. Before we talk about the stables, Moiraine and Rand go to the stables. And,
there's 4 horses, but there's only 3 humans.
Because of
the killed a pony.
Yeah. So the stable keeper.
So it definitely shows Moraine's desperation.
And ruthlessness, right? And Lanfear even makes an admiring
comments
call about it.
Clever.
Very good, very good. To me, it reminded me a little bit about the first episode of the first season when Moiraine is this ruthless person who is going to sink a ferry rather than let Rand, or she doesn't know it's Rand at that point, but she's not going to let the Dragon Reborn fall into the hands of the Shadow. And she's willing to do anything for that. And now it's even more visceral. She takes Rand's sword and slits the throat of the remaining horse so that Lanfear can't follow.
Yeah. I am very glad that they did not show that death as much as they showed Uno's. Because I think I would have had an even more sad reaction to the innocent horsey.
Definitely.
Well, it was a scene geared to shock. It was supposed to shock us.
Yep.
And it did. And they ride away with the woman that works in the saddle in the horse stable. I don't know. Is this like meant to be like one of the what do you call where you trade your horses in the middle of the road to like keep going?
It seemed like that. It seemed like that because she was not surprised that they were trying to take a horse. She's just saying, you got to pay for it
that
first.
You got to pay. Yeah. And she's like, you got to come with me. So they ride off, and Lanfear comes in, strutting still, and is like, looks at the dead horse like, dang it, too smart for me. But then here comes a man. Clever girl. Here comes a man on a horse, and he's like, oh my goodness, what's up, lady? And she's just like, oh, it's so polite. Where does this road lead?
Tarvalon. Of course it does. And then she pops off his head. Very casual.
Just like a little twist of the hand.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, ugh, a horse. Is there anything slower than a horse?
I'm sure she had her own show wings back in the Age of Legends. But
Yep.
here you get a
Or
horse.
other traveling options, but yeah, let's get a horse. Yeah, and rides off, and it's just like, this is so slow, but you see how Lanfear is adjusting the speed. She's got this like whip of power around her hand.
I thought it was Wonder
That
Woman
poor
at
horse.
first.
Yeah, it is very Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman. And Maureen and Rand watch her run away, and they're like, Rand is just like, dude, I knew you would be back. Tell me the truth.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on?
Wait, before we talk about that, were you surprised that Lanfear didn't just travel to Tarvalon? Like, open up a gateway and just step through it?
Very much so.
Yeah.
That was, I thought that's why she asked, where does this road lead?
Right.
Yeah.
She's going to wait for him.
I wonder. So part of me thinks either A, she's not strong enough yet because she used so much power to heal,
That's possible.
or B, she wanted to make sure that because she didn't know where they would end up, and so by writing, you were able to kind of follow them a little bit more. So
You don't have to be
see where they're
patient.
ending.
You don't have to wait.
Yeah.
And Lanfear
Yeah,
doesn't
which
seem
we
like
know she's
someone
not.
who-
She's not great as. Yeah, she's not a great waiter.
All right. All right. So,
but-
yes. Now we get some explanations.
Yes, we're learning. Hey, that person you thought you killed. Well, sorry, you didn't actually kill him. It's not actually the Dark One. It's actually a Forsaken, and you released him into the world. And then Ishii released Lanfear, and that means that the rest of the Forsaken are probably coming too. So be careful. Be ready.
Although she
Here
says
it
if they're
comes.
free, we've already lost.
Yeah, if all of them are free, we've already lost. And that moment of Rand, looking where Lanfear ran off, he was looking pretty sad. Because he still here's this person that like died, but also not really died on top of you, thought you loved me. Yeah, that whole, the complicated emotions were definitely
They were lovers
on.
for months, apparently.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I loved this, the next scene that you see Lanfear, the dramatic, lighting up Dragonmount and Tarvalon. That was beautiful. Loved that. Not just because, we're in Dragonmount. And Lanfear finds the 3 horses and the stable owner lady person and is like, whose idea was it, this trick? Because of course the stable lady was told to ride as fast as you could, go as far, doesn't matter what you do with the horses, because, screw it, get out of here. And Lanfear wants to know whose idea this was. And she says the Aes Sedai. The young man was in a daze, and the look on Lanfear's face, like it changed, because she was like, oh, of course, he's still so young. I must remember that. Yeah.
Well, it calls back to the previous episode when she kind of, I don't want to say tricks him into saying that he loves her, but, that's how it falls out. And her reaction was genuine there. Like, she wanted to hear that and was so happy to have heard that. And there is a chance still.
Yeah.
So, she wants to give him an excuse so that she can reclaim him.
Yeah. Once again, she's going to use her, her weakness is obviously Lucerne.
Yep.
It's obviously the dragon and Rand now.
Yep.
And so she's going to do whatever she can. Besides, eventually they will have to sleep, and then I will have them.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
The stable lady is like, oh, don't worry, I won't tell anybody you're looking for them. And she's like, oh, I know you won't. And then, like, magically sews her mouth shut. And
That's no weave that I know.
Yeah, absolutely horrifying.
Yeah, just leaning into the horror aspect, which is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Forsaken should be scary as hell.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they are. Absolutely. Let's see. I liked that the next scene is when Varen arrives, but the way that it looks like it's Lanfear going into Tarvalon. I thought that was really, really sneaky.
Yeah, yeah.
But Moraine and Rand arrive and back where they started.
Yeah, they go back to Carrion, which is good because she has maybe allies there. And I just want to, it doesn't play out in this episode, but I was sure that Matt and Min, when they're on their way to Carrion, we know that, but I thought that they would miss Rand and Moraine entirely because they're fleeing for their lives, but apparently they're back. So
yeah. Which I love that. It kind of it works how that goes. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. And Moraine is at first saying, "Okay, you can't fall asleep." Right.
Right.
He said that.
Don't fall asleep. Whatever you do, don't fall asleep. Lanfear
is Freddy Krueger.
Is famous for and she's famous for two things. Being ruthless and knowing how to work Teleran the dream world. Yeah. Listen, we know that I am not the word expert, the language pronunciation expert. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
The world of dreams.
It's fine. Right, yeah. Exactly. So we get a little bit of exposition here. We learn a little bit about what's going on. And as they get to the door, Rand's like, "You can keep us awake with the one power, right?" And just a simple no.
What I did like, though, is that, later on we get, there are three things that she's known for.
Yeah.
She was your lover in another life.
Yeah, like you don't think that
In
that's
fact,
something
you broke her heart,
okay.
and that's why she turned to the shadow.
That's why she freaking became a Forsaken because you broke her. Yeah,
but mainly it's just her cruelty and her command of the world of dreams. But
right, yeah. Those are the only things that really matter. Okay, yeah. But we go in. Maureen wants to find her sister instead of hiding from her sister. She wants to talk to her sister.
Progress.
And we also see her nephew, who was absolutely adorable. I want to just pinch his cheek.
Yeah,
he's. This connection, like he clearly loves his Auntie Maureen.
Yeah.
I was just like, I could hardly believe it when Mother said you were here,
and she softens just a touch. I mean, she won't let him grab her. She won't grab his hands or anything, but a little bit. She manages to bond. And
it was so sweet.
It was.
And this is, just to name him, this is Barthanes Damodred, who is betrothed to the Queen of Caerion, who is Queen Galdrian.
Yes.
And they're preparing for, they're going to do a tasting for the wedding feast.
Yes.
And,
and I love that they're like, "Oh, are you going to, hang out?"
I arrive all bloody and
you're right. I loved how Barthanes was like, "Oh, is that blood?" Well, first off is like, "Oh, you must be her warder."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Nope, not her warder." And Maureen is just like, "This is pregnant pause. Rand."
And you could tell there's some calculations going, okay, just am I going to say call him so and so? No, my sister knows him because she has all the eyes and ears. I can't do anything. I'm just going to call him Rand. I'm too stressed out right now.
I can't do this. I can't figure this out. And yep, let's clean everyone up, gets changed to clothes. And I love that Rand is gonna have some of the same, like, Barthanes is like, oh yeah, I'll find something in my wardrobe for you, even though like they're
He's
clearly
just a
very
sweet
different
boy.
sizes. He's so sweet. He's not the bestest boy because obviously that's Hopper, but like he's. I want to pat him on the head. Is what I want to do.
He's an innocent in this world where a lot of things are just not innocent.
Which is hilarious to me that he is going to marry the queen of a country that like creates and plays the great game, and yet here he is.
That's a good
absolutely
point.
Innocent. I think that is really interesting.
Yeah. And it's kind of a pride point. So Lady Avera, I
think.
Anyway, Maureen's sister. Thank you, Maureen's sister. Mentions it as a pride point that the house, the name Damodred still carries weight and still, is worthy of this, and
as meaningful,
that's her accomplishment, as we learned from last episode, and I think there was some speculation whether she was possibly a dark friend. Online, there was some speculation on that. And I thought of her kind of as an anti-dark friend where, all of the dark friends are leveraged. They have something that they want that they can't get. And so they make a bargain with the dark in order to get it. All of them are compromised in some way. Whereas she has, through her own efforts that she's very proud of, saved her family's name and made it into something. I feel like she's not a dark friend. I feel like she's on the up and up, and she represents someone who does the work.
Right. Yeah. And I think she cares about her family, as seen by the fact that she comes to her sister. We saw their relationship in the last episode was very like difficult, very like strained, which of course, if you haven't been back in 20 years, which is interesting that, because didn't she say like 60 years or something in the last episode? How long had it been?
Yeah,
or was it just decades? Because
decades.
40. Did they say 40?
Okay, yeah, something like that. And yet Barthanes saw Maureen when 20 years ago. I don't know if it's necessarily like what that plot hole is, because of course it's possible that she saw her nephew without seeing her sister, but I don't know. But this moment was really special. She comes in and is going to like not try and bug her sister, but instead is going to like clean up.
Yeah. And
Barthanes like begged his mom to like leave it alone.
Yep.
Stop, just stop, and he has always had a kind heart, and somehow he is
like
more like
father.
our father than either you or I, which I just like that point of pride, just like you said, was really special, I think.
Definitely.
And they're cleaning up, and Maureen's sister like calls her out. It's like, dude, you normally know what the heck you want to do and where you're going and what's happening, but you are pretty lost right now. So what the heck? What's going on? What's happening? Like, this is not you.
And Maureen does admit that she's brought a terrible danger that could affect them. It could affect the entire city. Boy, that sounds like foreshadowing. But and Anavir says, you shouldn't have come back. And Maureen agrees. But then they get past that. What do you do now?
Yeah, like, okay, it's too late to make a chain. Like, what can you do now? And I love this bit where she's like, excellent piece of advice from my very smart, much older sister. If something is upsetting you or making you afraid, ask yourself one simple question. Is it true? Can you know beyond any doubt that it's true?
Yeah.
Can you know beyond any doubt that Rand needs your protection?
And there is that moment of just silence and facial expressions from Moraine. And that was a point where I really wanted to know what she was thinking, because what happens next is shocking.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, it was excellent advice, wasn't it? Like, so good that she, like, this relationship has been mended in a very special way, because she's acknowledging that her sister was correct. Obviously, it was her own, information that passed on, but like, oh yeah, this is a good idea, and now let's adjust the plan,
and it's a crazy plan.
absolute crazy plan. But before, Moraine goes off to execute the plan, her sister, says, whatever danger you've released or encouraged, it means the world to Barthanes that you've come, even if you cannot stay. And like, just that little bit of family being important, is laying, weaving the textures in here of, family for Aes Sedai. We saw a little bit with Leandra and, with Alana's family. Like, all of these pieces are clearly important and leaving, like, adding the humanity to the Aes Sedai, which I think is really special.
Well, and that's the arc it seems Moraine has been going through. And what's funny is it was Rand's arc in the book, but the idea that, no, I need to do this all alone. I'm going to drive off anyone who's going to be my ally in this, and I'm going to just do this thing. I'm going to complete the mission on my own. No, you can't complete the mission on your own. You need allies. You need protection. You need ideas. You need someone to bounce ideas off of. You need people to give you that aha moment and to tell you that they're behind you. And Moraine and Lan will see each other again at some point. I wonder if she's going to have that realization that, I was wrong to drive you off. But that's later. We'll find out.
Yeah, who knows?
I hope so.
Well, hopefully they'll come back together. We don't actually know for sure.
We don't,
Yeah.
So now for the plan.
Yeah, so let's do the plan.
Hey, Rand, remember how I said don't fall asleep?
Just kidding.
It turns out that Lanfear turned to the dark because you broke her heart in a previous life. And, she probably is, she didn't hurt you.
She could have killed you. Yeah, she could have killed you any dozens of times. So I'm sure it's going to be probably fine.
And Rand says something interesting, which is that it wasn't all a lie what passed between us. And, I kind of said, oh, dude, all right. This is his first, relationship since Egwene.
Oh, he's young. He's young yet. We need to remember that.
Soft, as she says, as Lanfear says.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, this idea, like, she wants him to, Moraine knows what Lanfear wants, and Lanfear wants Lews Therin / Rand al'Thor. What do you think that she wanted? And if you had asked me before, I would have said me. This love, as strange as it is, it felt real.
Yep.
And obviously she was feeling it too. And we've seen that with how, the idea that, obviously he's not the one that had the idea to, navigate past and manipulate the stable girl to fake it out. But like, you want me to pretend to be in love with a Forsaken And Moraine like, it's your choice, Rand. I mean it this time. Like,
that was precious.
So different. It was so different. It really like back to the the interaction that she had with her nephew. He's joking about being the king and in charge of her, and Maureen does that little, should I call you my liege, as she leaves, which I think was just like so like adorable. And she's like, okay, I'll stay here. If it seems like she's hurting you, I'll wake you up. And he gets to fall asleep.
And the plan, or the reason for doing this, one, I suppose it's because you can't run forever, but two, it seems that Moraine has come to the conclusion that Lanfear is working with Ishamael, and she wants to know what Ishamael wants. So this is, she wants an inside track onto his plans through Rand, through Lanfear, which seems crazy dangerous, but hey, the show must go on.
But you know what? Yeah, you're gonna do what you have to do to get it to work. Like this is your priority is the greatness of the world, and that includes making sure that the dragon survives and to do whatever it takes.
And here's my theory, and this is why I wish we could have read her thoughts as Anavir gave that advice. Is it true? Does he need you to survive? I think she might be realizing that Rand is Ta'veren, and that the pattern, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills, but the wheel is a force of good. It's a force of the light. And there may be a plan if she just trusts it. Not a plan, but there may be a way forward if she trusts the Wheel of Fate.
Because she's so fond of saying that, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills, to every single person she meets. But she's the one struggling the hardest against it.
Yep. So it's like surrendering to Saidar.
Right.
You embrace fate and see what happens. So that may be her wild gamble here, and that's quite a gamble to take, especially with her having been such a, I won't call her a control freak, but I'll call her a control freak. Like she's a blue. She's a manipulative blue. For like 20 years, she and Siwon were planning to do something with this guy, and everything's running off of its course. Now they have to adapt.
Right? Yeah, you can only plan so much. Like it's not going to do what everything is not going to work out the way you want it to. And that sucks when this has been your life for decades. And I think it's interesting to see where we think it might go.
Let's digress into Teleron Riod for a moment before we hit that last scene of this.
Yes, absolutely.
So while Lanfear is waiting for Rand to fall asleep, the scene starts out different. Rand is sleeping in bed. And Ishamael has a tendency to caress all of the Ta'veren he meets.
This hand with the ring reaches over and it caresses his face, and I was just like, okay, and
they're gonna kiss now? What?
Getting cozy with his buddy, and then surprise, he knows that it's Lanfear, and Lanfear's wearing dark makeup. She's got, this is what she normally, I would guess, her normal look that she wants to look, which I think is fascinating and amazing. And she's like, "Oh, how did you know it was me?" They clearly have years and years of a relationship here, and I think it's kind of hilarious, their interactions. Hey, how did they're getting caught up because they can't just send a pigeon to each other, right. And so how did Rand learn what's going on? How did you tell him? And it's like, I didn't, Maureen did. I was surprised you let her live. Dead Eye Sedai are useless. Like this whole judging.
We're getting a lot of information here too, and I think definitely the online discussions are, is Maureen severed or is she blocked? And Ishamael says something like he wants her desperate, and that would open her to interesting choices. The implication is that, she would turn to the dark if she gets desperate enough. But to me, unless Ishamael knows how to heal severing, which is an open question, it sounds to me like, well, I shielded you, I can unshield you. So that's the devil's bargain you could make with me if you want it badly enough. So I think that's evidence that Maureen is not severed.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's a pretty accurate possibility. I mean, I feel like this is all I say is we'll find out. But,
yeah, it's just weird that a shield would block out land so much.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an artifact of her being shielded while she was fuzzing the bond.
Yeah, because she was already masking it.
But he's lost his warder abilities, quote unquote. Like he wasn't able to sense the fades, unless that's something else. But he's attributing it to Maureen being without power.
Yeah.
So that would be the only thing that's still kind of that gray area for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know enough about the way the power works in the show yet. To be able to make firm calls on that, but I think this is enough of a hint that what was done to Maureen is reversible.
Reversible, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think it's definitely a possibility. So we, Ishii and Lanfear are hanging out some more. Like Ishii wants to share while the Great Lord woke him first. And we learn, obviously Lanfear's like, okay, we know that what does she say? Oh gosh. Where did I put those?
Moghedien is insane. Grendel's a vain idiot, and the boys couldn't execute a plan, even if they were under compulsion.
Yes, which is like, okay, so they clearly know each other. Yeah. And this is also, spoiler for the books a little bit, but also for the past conversations. This proves that there are some Forsaken that are not in the books. Or that are in the books that are not in the show. We'll get into that in the book part, of course.
I think one of the interesting things, though, in that little segment of conversation is that the Great Lord woke Ishamael first because he's a true believer.
Yes.
And this is one of the things that's, I don't know if it's directly addressed in the books. There's a guide that has supplemental information, but the idea is that Ishamael is a nihilist. He was a philosopher back in the Age of Legends, and his studies took him onto a very nihilistic path, and his idea was that it's almost like a liberation from the wheel Buddhist concept, but evil. So like the idea is that the wheel keeps us in a cycle of pain, and the only way to liberate humanity for that is to stop the wheel. And stopping the wheel necessarily means oblivion. It's there is nothing anymore. Everybody else is scrambling for some reward that the Dark One will promise them in a world remade in his image, Ishamael kind of sees maybe the reality of the Dark One, which is it is oblivion, it is nihilism, it is he wants the annihilation of everything. That's what he's looking to do.
And he's gonna do whatever it takes.
He will manipulate everyone else.
And including that will, he'll kneel in front of someone if he needs to, in order to get that to happen. So, he's going to do whatever it takes, which is interesting.
Very interesting. So Lanfear, as we said, gave an accounting of the other Forsaken, naming 2 of them and implying other male Forsaken that are there. Then they have a fun conversation about our Tavern folks. Nynaeve fears power. Egwene craves power.
I mean, to be fair, we don't necessarily know which ones he's talking about, but
But we do by watching the show. The loving way that Egwene looked at the Amerlin stole and all of that stuff. And sort of the jealousy about her comparison with Nynaeve's power and, of course, Nynaeve's block. He mentions that Perrin will soon become more wolf than man. And then he says something about Mat, and I know we were talking about this earlier. I couldn't quite make out what was said. I watch... when we watch with the screeners, we don't have subtitles. I think he says Mat was born mine. But I'm not sure.
I am almost positive that's
what I heard.
What he says.
Okay, got it.
And it says a lot that this is the whole idea of like that's why Mat was so taken by the dagger. That's why he was able to, he was already ready for this. Yeah. This was something that was going to happen, and I think it's pretty special. This plot device, this manipulation of learning a little bit more about the Ta'veren and what's going to happen in the future. But I freaking loved this bit, and just the casual but manipulative way that they're talking to each other, and what is coming for our main characters.
Yeah. Well, Ishamael asks Lanfear, what would seeing all of this, seeing what his friends have become, what will that do to Rand? It'll break him, is Lanfear's answer. And that pleases Ishamael. I think we've finally gotten a glimpse of what Ishamael's real motive is here, specifically with respect to Rand. He wants to turn him to the dark. He wants to break him to the point where Rand is suffering so much, he will make the devil's bargain. And then the dark will win.
Yep, and he will get what he needs because... he'll know how to navigate. He'll know how to manage this situation and win.
Yep.
He will know how to win.
Will know how to win,
which is his important. That's what he wants to win. Obviously.
And before we leave these two, it is funny how Lanfear has mastery over Teleran Riod. We know that. But then Ishamael starts creating illusions, and they discuss Rand by creating a nice little smiling simulacrum of him in bed.
That was so funny.
And, Lanfear is saying, well, he's soft. He's, what were some of the other things? He's basically not the hard and powerful. He's afraid of power too.
He takes no pride in his birthright and rejects his own power.
Yes.
Oof.
So.
Yeah.
But those aren't
good
qualities
boy right
Lanfear
now.
likes. That doesn't make sense.
Well,
She goes back and forth, and even in the books they did that where I thought you liked me arrogant.
Yeah, it's this level of like she can manipulate him a little bit, but she can't manipulate him to do things that he doesn't want to do, which frustrates her because she wants him to, do all of these things to be in power, but he doesn't actually want to be in power. And so, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
I can change him.
Yes,
exactly. That's the crux of it. Absolutely. And then Lanfear then reasserts sort of her this is my domain, this world of dreams. She says, time for you to wake up. And of course, Ishamael is being woken up by one of the Dakoval who serves Turok.
And then that's when he gets taken to Turok.
And that's when they have their conversation. But in the meanwhile, Rand is falling asleep.
Yep. And wakes up in, this image that we saw in the trailer. Was it in the trailer? Or like
it was in the trailer.
Yeah, in the trailer. Here's, Rand is on the wheel in the desert.
Literally bound to the wheel. Yes, he's
bound
tied
to the wheel. And there was a lot of, speculation about what this was, where it was. I think in the trailer, we don't see the throne that Lanfear's sitting on.
No, we don't see that. And so I know,
just like in the trailer or like the promotional photos where you see the Shanshan, where you see Sarath's little palanquin thing, and you don't see Uno on the horn. Like they know how to play their audience.
Yeah. And I know even we were discussing probably in the we did a podcast episode about the trailers, and I think we were discussing, is this Lanfear making images in the world of dreams? Are we even going to have a world of dreams? Well, yes, it is confirmed.
Yes, we are.
This is a dream image. Lanfear has, when Rand fell asleep, Lanfear has put him in this position where she is showing him that he is currently a prisoner of the wheel, and she is dressed like a goth Cher. Don't know why, but with feathers and big boots, and I
freaking love this. I also love that her hair was short.
Yeah, that was interesting.
She had like the short black hair, so like this, it very much, this is clearly what her like chosen style looks like. This is what she wants to wear.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. It was gorgeous. But of course, terrible, bad.
Yeah.
Don't like.
I laughed out loud because it looked just like one of Cher's outfits.
It was fantastic. It was so good.
But and that's our cliffhanger.
Yep, and that was that. Just little moment of finally. Like she finally fell asleep, or he finally fell asleep, and so she was ready for him. And nailed it. Perfect.
Awesome.
Well, are we ready for the books?
Let's blow the spoiler horn for the books.
All right, so we'll start at the top. Lanfear, the little black dots in her eyeballs. She's got the saw, which means that the true power was navigated to heal herself. Do we think she pulled it herself, or that
interesting,
the dark one helped and manipulated?
I thought that she would have done it herself, because I even attributed that to her closing the mouth of the woman with the horse. Like maybe the true power is just that powerful, it can manipulate bodies.
Yeah. I thought so too, that this was just Lanfear doing it, but that's interesting, Kathy, that that you said maybe it's the Dark One doing it, because maybe that's the resurrection mechanism. The Dark One, the true possible. Power is the Dark One's energies, and he could be pushing himself through his servants to do the thing.
And that's why the black, bits came in, like the ability of, the black little oil slick things came because it was the Dark One coming in and fixing it,
manifesting and exercising his strength through his servants.
Yep.
And that's going to be interesting because it's the same visual as in the Shadar Logoth dagger.
Yep.
So
exactly,
what does that mean? Before that was an opposing force to the Dark One in the books.
Yeah.
Shadar Logoth's evil and the Dark One's evil were opposing forces that could be locked together and made to fight. Here it seems like this is evil. This is the Dark One.
Right. It's clearly, something deeper is happening. Let's see what next. We hear Gawain is mentioned, so obviously at least one sibling is here and connected.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see if Galad is also there, but I think this is setting up. I believe that we'll be in Camelin in season 3,
Definitely.
and we'll have that whole connection.
I hope so.
We'll have Aleda there. We'll have Morghese there. Maybe we'll have Rav in there. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be nice too.
We'll find out. Yeah. We got, the Aiel connections. We're going to have Jiito. We're going to have the Karakarn. We've got these layers of Aiel culture are in place. We've got the dancing with the spears. We've got the veil.
Did Aviendha say Fardare's Mai, or did she say Maiden of the Spear?
No, she said Fardare's
Mai. She did. Yep.
So the societies.
Yep. And the seps and clans are all because of that was her introduction.
Yeah, that was nice.
I like this connection of having Aviendha instead of Gaul in this moment.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I always was sad that Aviendha didn't show up until so late because obviously she's one of my favorites. And so I just love this moment.
Yeah, and it's interesting the pairing up of Perrin and Aviendha, and then Matt and Min, and then Egwene and Elaine, and it's like all Bran's girlfriends are like flirting and gravitating towards his other friends.
Right?
Yeah.
That moment of the flirting with Aviendha was so funny.
And even with Min too, with Matt and Min, there was a lot of flirtation.
Yep. It made me think that they were going to break up that polycule and just have different relationships, but
I don't think they'd do that.
I think also some casting confirmations indicate that maybe that's not going to happen. So
we're just talking about the diversity, having a polyamorous couple that's successful and not toxic, I think would be a good thing.
Although we've got that with Alana already.
That's a good point.
Yep.
We do have it with Alana. Oh yeah, but that's 2 guys and a girl. He's going to be 1 guy and 3 girls, so
sure.
Let's show both.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. Make it happen. Okay, so the Forsaken.
Yeah, so
we know there's Lanfear.
We have Kathy, you were basically saying 8 Forsaken, right?
I mean, my thing is that there are not 13.
Okay.
But everything that was the bet with Jason. But I believe that there are 8. We've got the seals. We've got how many people it takes to turn you to the dark. 8 is this magic number.
Yeah. I think there were just 8 statues as well. Is that right? I thought I read that online. Someone did the microscopic counting of the statues, the freeze frame. So,
which I love that.
Yeah, I guess what I'm thinking is definitely confirmed: Ishamael, Lanfear, Moghedien, Grendel, and then we get the boys, and that could be Asmodean, Samael, Demandred, Raven, Agenor, and Balthamel are the candidates for the male Forsaken. I think
technically Belal.
Oh,
Don't
Belal.
forget
I forgot
Belal.
about Belal.
Yeah.
Always forget about the Nut Weaver. Yeah.
Right, which clearly is a very important one.
Yeah, right?
Okay, he's the big bad in the Stone of Tyr.
Yeah.
And
Like
Raven
3
is the big
seconds.
bad in Camelin. So, I don't know where they're going to start conflating those stories. We may not even get a Who Killed Asmodean, although I think we saw a statue of him.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Asmodean because of the lute
guitar
or the
statue.
guitar. So, yeah, there's. I think we're gonna get Samael, Demandred, and Raven.
Yeah, I think
those
so, too.
are the other 4 Forsaken that we're gonna get. Mainly because the other 3 clearly no one remembers Bilal.
Yeah.
Agenor is only known as the creator of the Shadow Spawn, and I literally could not tell you who or what Balthamol does in the books. I literally...
Well, he dies in the first book, and then he comes back as a lady in the...
Okay, see, and I could not tell you that's which one, no idea. He doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, I think those are the 3 that are not... don't matter.
Yeah,
but
so
it's interesting.
He was Halima. So Halima had a couple of interesting plot points.
Yeah, which I am totally okay with them not
With being cut.
doing.
Yeah.
That's a totally fine. So yeah, we know that we know at least 2 of the Forsaken that are not included.
Yeah.
No Semiraj and no Masana. And so it'll be interesting to see. I think we called that in the past. Specifically, like Grendel and Semiraj are pretty similar.
Yeah.
In their vibes, and then Moghedien and Masana are also pretty similar. Moghedien, we know, plays a big role with kind of Nynaeve and that connection. Yeah. So with Saladar and stuff, I wonder how that's all gonna happen and what that's gonna work.
That's a good segue, and that's what I was thinking about when, Liandrin has outed herself as Black Aja to the 3 girls, which means if the 3 girls return to the tower in any shape or form, she is completely hosed. So that's why I think before that happens, there is going to be the White Tower Schism in Saladar, or whatever the equivalent is, so that the 3 girls will go to, I call them girls, they're aged up, they're women, but the Wonder Girls.
Yes.
So they'll go to the tower in exile while the plots can still happen in the White Tower. Liandrin can still be an actor there. Especially if it comes to bringing in Eleda. Eleda.
But then Egwene will be a novice. A novice Almerlin? I don't think they would do that.
Well, no, I don't think she's
going to have to get back
yet.
to the White Tower.
Yeah, but so are we going to have... She's a Damane right now. Hopefully that'll be resolved by the end of this season. There's a question of whether she will become a Wise One apprentice with Aviendha.
Yeah.
She learns, in the books at least, she learns a lot of her strength and grit from being with the Wise Ones and sort of identifies with them
Definitely,
more.
yeah.
I don't know if we're going to have that plot, but I'd kind of miss it if we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so important.
But there's also this layer, whatever, of, do we think this Lanfear Moraine moment will happen in this season?
Oh.
Because we don't know if Rosamund Pike is in season 3.
Oh, seriously?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's been no confirmation or denial either
weird.
way.
That's suspicious.
All we know, like, I'm pretty positive that the only thing we know is that she was confirmed for 2 seasons. So I don't know, like, it could very well be set up to have Lanfear and Moiraine's moment at the end of In Falm.
That said, didn't she have a quotation? I'm sure I read this online, some interview where she was saying she thought that there was some really beautiful book 3 interactions between Moiraine and Perrin, and that she was eager to explore that relationship.
Oh, maybe.
That sounds to me like season 3. I don't think that can happen now.
Unless those moments get put in Falm.
Yeah, that would be rushed.
Yeah,
it would be very rushed.
The whole thing is rushed, which sucks. But we don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen?
I hate speculating on plot based on casting because I know it's a reality, but it feels like cheating.
Well, especially with things that are not confirmed. So we're gonna here at Dragonmount, we don't necessarily, announce news. We don't discuss things that are not officially
rumors or anything.
We don't speculate on rumors necessarily. Even though, we'll talk about some things. So, anyways, let's move on, shall we?
Yes, let's move on.
Let's talk about Barthanes.
It was so weird.
What the heck is going on here?
I saw that people were speculating about this online, and that they were thinking that he would be Anavir's son, who's going to be marrying the queen. But yeah, in the books, he is an older man. He is a rival for the throne. He is a dark friend and a known associate of Viren. I can't believe that this young man is a dark friend, but that doesn't mean anything. They could pull a surprise.
Unless, we were talking about the fact that, this whole idea of, he's so naive to be a Kyrian noble person marrying the queen, unless it's all an act.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Which is possible, especially if he's a dark friend and manipulating everyone, including his Aunt Moraine.
Yeah.
So,
I guess that's how you get to Moraine, if you have to go through her family.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know how that would pay off necessarily. And it would really...
Listen, that's not our job.
Yeah. But I mean, just from a satisfaction point of view, we were all kind of gushing over how cool it was that Moraine was finding family, finding acceptance, finding all of these things. And it would undercut and undermine that bond that was made. So are we driving Moraine off a cliff by doing this to her, or have we given her have we given her wisdom, or have we given her a path to lose it all? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because I don't like Moraine right now. I think she is doing the wrong things, but she's starting to learn some lessons. Maybe not fast enough, but
right.
It feels like she's growing, but if that's a false lead and she's not going to grow from this, there's something tragic about that.
Yeah, it makes me sad. But I don't think they are. I mean, to be honest, this is part of the reason why I think it might be she's a 2-season thing, because this is a lot of growth to happen in, 1 season.
Yeah.
And you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
To make this happen.
Well, yeah, and even looking back at that quote, is it true that only she can protect him? And maybe in that moment it is true. Like, this is the only thing that can happen to save Rand from Lanfear.
Yeah.
Because what else is going to get rid of Lanfear at this point? Like, she is like a hound on the scent. She's not going to let him go.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're too entwined.
And she knows that, a regular knife thing won't happen.
And we have not introduced Balefire yet.
Right.
That's true, right? We haven't seen or heard anything about
Balefire? I don't think so.
Okay.
No, we haven't. There has been no conversation of Balefire or like how to kill Forsaken, any of that. Like that just hasn't been a part of it.
They haven't named a single weave, have they? Other than the spirit, air, water, fire. Right?
Like
no mirror of masks, no.
Oh yeah.
No. I guess listening to the wind. But that's more a wisdom thing, not necessarily a weave.
Yeah, that's not a tower thing.
Like traveling or, I mean, like nothing.
Yeah,
like no named weaves yet.
None of it's been named. Yeah. So that's really interesting to think about too.
All right.
Interesting.
And I think one thing we should mention too, going back to Viren, so one of my favorite plot threads is when Imelda goes to Pevera, another Red Aja person, and what she wants to do is root out traitors. But what Pevera understands is, she wants me to, without saying it, she wants me to root out Black Aja. Black Aja must be real, one, and two, in the tower, so I should, and that's the secret inquisition that happens within the tower. And it's a great plot line, and I feel like Viren just kicked it off.
Yeah, I
think so too.
I love this idea, especially because we know Viren is Black Aja.
Yeah.
I doubt that they would take that away, and so this idea of Viren manipulating, trying to figure out who the rest of the Black Aja are, because even though Viren is Black Aja, she does not want the Dark One to win.
Right.
So she's kind of like that anti-Ishamael, where he's playing all the good sides against the light. She's playing all the shadow sides.
Yeah.
No. What did I just say? he's playing all the light sides against the shadow, and she's playing all the shadow sides against the light.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, you know, in the book, she joined the Black Aja because it was either that or die. And
she has
her
too many
loyalty
questions.
her loyalty was never really there. So she was always compiling information, and we even saw her little pair of books.
The books.
Last episode, which is kind of cool.
I loved that.
But,
I missed it until I saw somebody pointing it out.
Yeah.
You know, and let me tell you, Twitter may be a hellscape of an app, but Twitter Time is fantastic. I wish we could transfer those connections and conversations elsewhere, but alas, they're on Twitter, which is fine. You know, we're hanging out there. So
Viren knowingly kicking off a hunt for the Black Aja while being Black Aja, while also trying to infiltrate and expose and collect evidence of the Black Aja, is an amazing plot line. And
it's
I
so good.
Love Mira Sayal's mannerisms with this, her knowing smile, her sort of like, I know what all of you are up to, and I'm just gonna just ask my Columbo questions. I love it, and I want to see more of it.
They had such, there's been a lot of conversations about how, Viren doesn't seem out of it enough. That whole brown Aja vibe. I think that this is the perfect way to make them not seem completely dumb.
Yeah. I think they've captured the spirit of what Viren is about.
Yes.
There's this...
And the whole brown Aja as a whole with Yasuka and Naomi. Like,
did you finish your history?
Yeah. Like, I just love that. I just love you guys. I love this series.
I know, me too. It's been really awesome.
It's so great.
And
I just don't understand.
Okay.
Like the complaints. Like, how are you not happy to have these characters doing things and getting to go on this adventure? And it just fills me with so much joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I had to let go of a lot of stuff that I was
Yes.
carrying with me, expectations.
Then I'm sure you're better for it, for letting go.
Well, I am now, and I'm enjoying myself a lot more. And I think season 2 has, materially improved on all aspects. So, I think that's great. But, I think I remember the build up to the films of The Lord of the Rings, and it's like, are they going to show this? Are they going to show that? Are they going to keep this in sequence? We've dissected all of those scenes so many times in our heads. We've read these books so many times. I want it to be perfect. And, it hewed very close to what the books had, and I think people loved it. And now that set a certain bar for adaptations. But, it doesn't have to be that. And I'm finding a lot of pleasure in the show this season, especially.
Good. Oh, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's something like very special about this show and the passion behind the creators that are making it and the care that they're taking.
Yeah.
Because anyone that thinks it can be exactly, book accurate is wrong, like plain and simple.
Yeah.
You just can't, like, it's impossible. And what we are getting, I think, is better than I could ever have imagined, because it's bringing out these surprises and these secrets that I never even thought about were possible.
Yeah.
And it's just
And
amazing.
I'm optimistic too for the finale of this season, because they are all going to Falme. I called it book Falme. That's the pronunciation.
Yeah. No, me too.
In the show.
Yeah.
There is we've set up White Cloaks versus Shan Shan versus the others that are in there. The horn is in play. Who blows it is going to be a big question.
I'm excited about that.
I'm not certain that it is Matt who blows it.
Yeah.
I would bet money that it's Matt.
Fair. I won't take that bet, but
I know, because Kathy's always right.
but like, would you be devastated if it was Perrin?
Would I be devastated? No, only because I would have lost a bet, but that doesn't exist. Yeah. But I don't think, like, we've seen a little bit of the foreshadowing with Matt's eye missing, this plot line in the future. I don't honestly, I think it's entirely possible that it could be like switch over to Perrin and give Perrin some sort of purpose other than Fael in his life. But I don't think it will. I'm pretty sure they'll keep it Matt, and they'll keep Matt the horn wielder.
Yeah.
Especially if we get Uno back as a hunter for the
Oh my gosh, what if that happens?
As a hero of the horn.
I doubt it. I doubt it, but it'd be adorable.
A lot of people are lobbying for that. But yeah, I mean, we're getting the fight between Ashamel and Rand up in the sky, which gets painted, which gets circulated.
Ashamel's calling it the last battle, which is weird.
Yeah.
He should know it's not the last battle.
No, but I think he thinks that they're going to win. And that's why it's the last.
I think it's a pivot point. It's a pivot point for him, certainly.
Yeah.
And, then maybe that means he gets his wound in the side, all of that kind of stuff. I feel like it's coming together very closely to the end of the Great Hunt. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Super exciting. Well, thank you so much for listening. You can find links to follow us online in the show notes or on Dragonmount.com. On our website, we have so much great content featuring all and only the Wheel of Time. We've got blog posts, chapter, and episode summaries. So if by chance you listened to the book section and have not read the books, if you don't want to spend the hours reading all 14 novels and the prequel, you can just read the chapter and episode summaries. Or if you started the books and you don't remember what happened, hang out on the website. There's lots of information there. We've also got news as well as links to our YouTube channel as well as all of our social media. You can definitely find things to entertain you. Every Monday, we have a live stream where we do a rewatch. This during the show, of course, we are watching and talking about the episodes themselves. So you'll have a weekend to digest what you have seen, maybe watch it a couple times, and then come back and talk to fans just like you about the show, about the episode. We may or may not have some surprises and secrets that are passed on from some of our friends in the future. Like this past episode talking about, well, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, it's not a secret because you heard some of the stuff, but you know what? That's fine. Anyways, lots of things to entertain you. Also, make sure to check out our shop. We have tons of merch, including some fun things I'm putting together while we recorded this episode that I can't wait to share, which should be fun. But you can also find some Dragonmount themed wear, like clothing or water bottles or bags. I have one of the totes with the embroidered Dragonmount logo on it, and it holds so much stuff and lasts. Like, that bag was so heavy and it survived beautifully. So highly recommend. Go to shop.dragonmount.com if you want to peruse our shop. And then, of course, we also have a Patreon if you want to support this community of creators. We are not Amazon shills, so we don't make any money to talk about this. So head over there if you want to support us. And there's also some other goodies. We have the full cast interviews that I did earlier this year in June. And then we also have the conversation about tattoos that was cut out of one of the previous episodes.
Oh, did we make that into a bonus thing?
Yep, that's a bonus. That's a Patreon only exclusive. I think it's like 30 minutes of us just talking about tattoos and how apparently I'm the only one that has tattoos.
Sorry, you're the only cool one.
Yeah. It was hilarious. It was amusing. But, you know, if you want to check those out, you can visit patreon.com/Dragonmount. And with that, I have been Kathy Campbell.
Rajiv Moté.
And Maureen Carr.
And this is not the ending, but it is an ending. Thanks so much for listening, and we hope you have an absolutely incredible day.